is one final speaker for you, representing an excellent campaign that's been running in Halstead. But it's also somebody who really does, we all know what we're talking about, but this is a retired GP, Dr. Shan Newhouse. Thank you.
It's a long way up. Can you hear me? Right, I am Dr. Shan Newhouse. I've worked in the NHS for 30 years. It's the thing that I love most in my life. And I worked up in Halstead for 15 years. And I hate seeing it being destroyed. The SDPs and the ACOs, to give you yet another acronym to learn, mean very big cuts. And they mean the destruction of the NHS as we know it. They mean moving to an Americanised system. Slash, trash and privatise is exactly what is happening. We are being robbed. It's daylight robbery because we hardly even hear what's going on. Mostly what the STPs are doing is reorganising the deck chairs in the Titanic instead of getting rid of the iceberg. I'm going to tell you about the plans for the local community because you know what's happening in the hospitals, but most healthcare actually goes on in GP surgeries in the community, and they have to change what's going on in the community totally in order to get their plans through in the hospitals, yet they're very quiet about it. The SDP plan is to control and divert healthcare from hospitals by about 20%, 1/5 of their work. They're planning to reduce outpatient appointments by almost a half. Now, I don't know how I could have managed as a GP without being able to refer people to hospitals. You can't do, well, we don't want to do appendectomies on the kitchen table anymore. But that's almost where we're heading. The half of the appointments that they're going to get rid of, a quarter are going into the community, they say, but a quarter are just not going to happen. They're cutting healthcare. If they want to change the communities to take over what the hospitals are doing, they need to put 18 million a year in, but there's no sign that that money is going to appear. And because of that, 3 of the CCG heads, who are all GPs in the south of the county, have refused to, they voted against the consultation being started. They abstained. The SDP board, and this huge document that they've produced, which is almost unreadable jargon, acknowledges that the community services have been very badly cut in the last few years. Social care is down by about 40%. Councils have got no spare money at all. They're desperate. How can their plans possibly work when the community services are so poor? GPs are becoming an endangered species at the moment. Around here, lots of GPs are due for retirement. They can't recruit. They've tried recruiting from the EU, even though they've been so horrible to people from the EU. Surprisingly, that's not working. So their plan is to move all this work to the GPs and community, whilst acknowledging that the community is in a terrible mess. The number of district nurses in this area has been halved in the last few years. So how are they meant to work? The plan in the future is that they'll have what they call 24 localities, where health and social care and GPs will combine. They think it'll save a lot of money. I don't think that. I think it will cost a great deal more to provide community services where you've had hospital services. And then they're just being in cloud cuckoo land about how much money they think they will save, i.e. cut. They're planning to make people care for themselves much more. They're relying on self-care and apps so that you can do your own healthcare instead of bother the NHS. Now, great idea. I love people being more educated, but there are things that you just can't do for yourself. And as I know from personal experience, you can't look in your own ear. There's very little evidence to suggest that any of their plans work. There's very little research, particularly in rural areas. They are just talking rubbish. They're planning to redesign pathways in the community, and they're also planning to change the way that GPs work. I'm very proud of the GP service. It's one of the best in the world, even now. It used to be a lot better. And I think the GPs are a cornerstone of the NHS. 95% of the work in the NHS takes place in your local surgery. But it can't do any more than it's doing now. They're strapped for cash, they don't have the staff, they really cannot cope. The plan is to divert about a quarter of GP appointments to seeing other people in the team. Now, I have greatest respect for paramedics and physiotherapists and nurses and social workers, but it's not the same as seeing a GP. You don't necessarily get a holistic view of things. Also, where are they going to put them? Most GP surgeries are jammed full and there's no money to build anything extra in them. At the moment, we have local GPs. We're all near a general practice, and the SDP plans to change this. They're going to amalgamate between 5 and 20 normal GP practices into super practices, super hubs. This is definitely happening down in Chelmsford Way. So the general practice will become far more bureaucratic. You won't know your GP in the way that you might, or that I hope you do now. And people will have to travel much further. And that includes the elderly and the most ill in our community. I want to see general practice stay local and involved in the community. So the big picture about the STPs is that they are hiding cuts to services, which are massive. They're reducing quality in the NHS. They're getting it ready for privatisation into the ACOs. Do any of us want to live in an Americanised society? I don't. And if you cost too much, their budgets are limited and you will be out. That's a frightening thought to me. At the moment, your care is what you need, and in the future it will be determined by how much money is there. At the moment, every CCG in the country practically is running an overdraft, but they won't be allowed to do that anymore. What we need, they've taken their eye off the ball here. What we need for the NHS is we need more beds. They've halved the beds in the last 4 years. Halved them. How could they possibly justify that? And they have kept the funding very low for 7 years. It's all part of austerity, and it's cut the NHS to the bone. And we need more people working in the NHS so you can be provided with a good service. That's what we deserve. We've had the NHS for 70 years. It was fought for. We have got to fight for it again. And if we don't, we'll end up going to private practitioners who are fleeces and not provide good care. So it's the best thing that the world has ever made for the NHS. It is ours, and I don't want it to be stolen from us in front of our bloody noses. So fight, talk to everybody, get involved, please.
Okay, right. Well, thank you, Shan. Thank you all for coming along today. I mean, the important thing to remember is that last summer we did win the first battle. You know, they were going to have plans, as we know, to downgrade the A&E, and I think obviously a lot of us are very concerned that they're going to go ahead and do it in a much more crafty way anyway. However, we did at least win that first initial battle, and that shows that people power can work. It shows why we have to be coming onto the streets like we have today, and we must continue to do it, because we must now fight for the future of our NHS, because let's be honest, if we don't, we will not have an NHS for future generations. Thank you very much for coming along today. Okay, what we're going to do, just to finish off, it's going to be a very short march, but If you can see the banner up the front here, if we can all start to line up behind